So next up is Kris Holm. He is 1% for the Planet ambassador and founder of Kris Holm Unicycles. Kris is one of the early mountain and trials unicycling pioneers and was the first rider to bring mountain unicycling to a mainstream audience through film, television, and magazine features. Kris played a key role in the innovation and modern unicycling equipment through his brand Kris Holm Unicycles, which was the first company in Canada and internationally the first cycling brand to join 1% for the Planet. Please welcome Kris Holm.
Thank you very much. Sure, I'll use that. It's a lot easier.
All right, let's go. Yeah, that'd be difficult. I'd like to introduce to you a sport called mountain unicycling. It's a sport that not a lot of people know about, but it's something that's really influenced my life in many ways, both as a professional athlete and then later as a 1% for the Planet business. But first I should ask, how many people here know mountain unicycling? Have you heard of it, seen it in videos? This is the image you see. You see the pro athletes. You see people on the side of the Great Wall of China. There is much more to it than that. And tonight I'd like to hopefully challenge some of those stereotypes because the sport goes far, far beyond that. You see children, you see older adults, you see families, you see kids, you see competitors, experts, beginners. I think that challenging some of these stereotypes has a lot of parallels with things that are far more important that many of us do every day in other areas of our lives. I got into mountain unicycling as a 12-year-old. I've always been into outdoor sports. I've always really been interested in minimalistic activities, things that stripped away the equipment and brought you back, connected you a little bit more closely to the ground on which you were riding here. The idea that you could do a little bit more with less, even in sport. Through professional riding, I got a chance to travel and see new places, meet new people, and share about the sport in ways that contributed perhaps just a little bit to the growth of the sport to become quite diverse all around the world. And in doing so, I noticed that many people have a real sea change in perspective when they try this thing. It's kind of a model. You go from feeling like it's impossible to maybe it's a little bit doable, to this is kind of easy, to humbling because you realize that you've got a lifetime of learning ahead of you with something that you could do in just about any arena. With that came some business opportunities. So in 1999, I started a small brand designing mountain unicycles. And that brand still remains small by cycling standards, but today has distribution in about 15 different countries around the world, selling about 6 or 7 models of unicycles. Now, I didn't want to just sell unicycles. I wanted to use this to break down some stereotypes. I wanted to leverage it to help other causes that I thought were pretty important. So in 2004, I called up 1% for the Planet, and a few months later became their Canada's first member. Now, thank you. Now, in doing so, I found that mountain unicycling was a pretty good metaphor for many things to do with sustainability. The simplicity, the minimalism, the balance, the fact that our reaction to something strange can sometimes be a humbling reminder of what it's like to change environmental attitudes amongst things that we think should really be obvious, even when they're not. It can be hard. It does take persistence. Sometimes you do get some scrapes and bruises. And in some ways, it's kind of like joining 1% for the Planet. It feels a little daunting at first. It's a big deal. Then maybe doable. And then ultimately, if you commit, it's something that you really can do, and it just becomes another good way of doing business. Thank you.